Oh man, really excited to be here. Another episode of Afternoon Delight. Now, just first off, just because this is a NFL Week 5 preview show does not mean I won't answer your fantasy football questions. All questions are welcome. I'm pretty jacked up about it. Two really good Monday night football games came out. Two really good Monday night football games came out. Really think that you have some good games. I kind of want to go over them in a little more detail. Bear with me here. I'm just making sure that everything is good on my end. And any and all questions will be answered. All right. I want to start off with Monday Night Football. Tennessee gets its first win of the season. The Miami Dolphins just they look bad, but my buddy Denver Gator, who's a big Will Levis fan, he's going to get mad at this, but it's not really a coincidence that Levis leaves the game, Mason Rudolph comes in, and the Titans get the win. And I pulled up the stat line here. Mason Rudolph, 9 out of 17, 85 yards. You're going to say, Dan, Mason Rudolph didn't do anything. That is correct. Will Levis, 3 out of 4 for 25 yards, has an interception. Tennessee Titans, 40 carries, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. When Tennessee is able to run the ball, when the defense is good in Tennessee, all right, they got some really good playmakers. When they don't make mistakes offensively, they run the ball successfully, you can win some games in Tennessee. Spoiler alert, I think Tennessee is going to be a terrible team, but you do have some things that work. I would personally, and I've said this many times, I would go to Mason Rudolph, see what you have. With the trade deadline, there is definitely a possibility DeAndre Hopkins could be out. I don't think that's a bad move. 2 catches, 30 yards. I mean, you have some young players in Tennessee. You gave a lot of money to Calvin Ridley. You brought over Tyler Boyd from Cincinnati, who knows the system. You have some young tight ends. You got a nice 1-2 punch at running back. Go that route. That's what I would recommend. I forgot to do this. All right. That's what I would recommend. Moving Hopkins, get some extra trade capital, I think would also, or get some extra draft capital. It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense, at least it does to me. Take a look at the AFC South, Houston has a tough game next week against Buffalo. All right. Colts are 2-2. If Houston falls to 3-2 and you're Tennessee, you get a win. Actually, you're on a bye, but you have a chance to get right back in that division. Now, full disclosure, I don't think Tennessee's any good. But if I'm Tennessee, I would really take a hard look at Mason Rudolph, but I don't think they will. But the defense is good. Nice run to punch at running back. Good job getting the first win of the season. The Miami Dolphins, I remember last year at this time they put up 70 in a game. Highest scoring offense in the NFL. They have 45 points, and people say that this is what happens when you take 2 away. That's not really the case. The Mike McDaniel offense is not overly complex. This is also what happens when you spend a lot of money on superstars, but you don't shore up your offensive line. Give a lot of money to a quarterback that gets injured a lot. Going forward, if I'm Miami, I do start Tyler Huntley. I saw some things I liked. Keep in mind, they just brought him in. So the more involved they get him in the offense, the better. They lost some players on defense. It shows. If I'm Miami, though, until Tua comes back, if he comes back, you have some issues. I'll never unsee this mock draft I just saw had Cam Ward, University of Miami. Mock draft I saw had the Dolphins taking Cam Ward in the first round. So, one pride. I'm going to talk about this. So I'm glad to see you, brother. Hopefully you check out my picks video. I tagged you on Instagram, so make sure you check that out. I am going to talk about these Lions. AK, what's up, brother? My running backs are Hall, Kamara, Ford, Dobbins. By the way, I like the running back room. Wide receivers, London, Rice, Neighbors, Godwin, Pittman, Deontay Johnson, my tight ends, Bowers. What would I do? Pittman and Ford for Higgins for a running back. Love your streams. Dude, thanks, brother, man. I really appreciate you coming in. These are some great questions. I am going to, let's look at a few things here first. Nick Chubb is returning to practice this week. You kind of got to monitor that because once Chubb returns to the starting lineup, Ford's touches are going to decline dramatically. So you have some good running backs. You're going to need to probably drop Ford. So I like what you're doing. Now, Higgins is a guy that I'm not overly high on. I'll be honest with you, but you do need to pick up a receiver. That's something you got to do. You got to make a move from Rice. So I'm looking at two big things. You have to fix the hole with Rice. Rice was on this team your number one, and then you have to fix Ford. All right, so. Would I go Pittman and Ford for Higgins or for a running back? You really, in this situation, because you got to replace two guys, I would not recommend doing a 2-for-1 trade. The one thing about the Colts is that it appears that they're going to stick with Anthony Richardson, which is a big mistake. It's a big mistake in my opinion. Because it with Flacco, you got some production out of Pittman. I'm also really not high on Higgins. The more Isloftus plays, and I'm butchering that name, the less value Higgins is going to have. Jamar Chase is the number one guy. But the one thing that they will do in Cincinnati is they will throw the ball quite a bit. You might, and I'm going to say something. Oh, you have Chubb. Okay. If I didn't realize you had Chubb. Okay, this is different because in this situation you want to keep Ford and Chubb. You want to keep those two, but okay, great. This means you can move a receiver, you can move a running back, you can move one of your running backs, you can make a big deal for a running back. You can get a potential one. You could trade for it. I'd recommend you keep them. I would kind of see what you could get for a receiver. Now, if this is a situation that you may have heard of called buy low. Look, you got what looks awful in Miami. All right. But Tyreek Hill, you saw, got some touches. Okay. They're going to fix some things. You might be able to go ahead and either get Waddle or Waddle or Tyreek Hill. And you may be able to get them I would really keep a hold of Pittman, because I really think the Colts sooner or later are going to go to Flacco, and then you'll have some more value with Pittman. I like London and Godwin, but you got to move on from Rice. So I would look at the Dolphins, and whoever has Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, you may be able to get a good deal. I really don't want to tell you to give up Hall, Kamara, or Dobbins, but you might want to do that, because when you get Chubb coming back, you got to put Chubb in that lineup. Which one do you want to bench? That's a tough one. Because Rice is out, I'll be honest with you, you got some really good options at receiver. You may just want to stand pat. Because I think Deontay Johnson's going to start putting up numbers. They need to figure some things out with London, and I like Godwin. I mean, I really do, and I think the more Baker stays in Tampa, the more comfortable with the offense he's going to be. I really think that you got some good things going on with that team. You do want to add a receiver. Higgins isn't the guy I would really want, but if I'm in a situation like yours, though, look, Tyreek Hill is healthy. The quarterback situation, I think they should stick with Huntley, but I'm not really sure what they're going to do. You may be in a situation where you could buy low. You may be able to make a move. I'm not high on London. You could also make a move for Ford. Let me ask you this here: is there any who's on the waiver wire for receivers? Because you can drop Rice, and I like your receivers. So I'd really like you. Here's what I'd like for you to do. Before you make any trades, because I like your lineup the way it is. I really like your lineup. I'm assuming you have a backup tight end with Bowers. I think you brought it in before. I'm drawing a blank on who it is. Who's on the waiver wire? I got an email from a guy who picked up Chris Olave from the waiver wire, and he's in a league where you start 3 receivers. I'm like, how'd you get Olave? I think it was a 12-person lead. So I'm like, okay, there's 36 wide receivers, and he got Chris Olave. Another guy you may want to take a look at, because you're going to see some moves at the trade deadline. That could help. Brian Thomas Jr. For Jacksonville. I'd be shocked if he was on the waiver wire, but somebody told me Chris Olave was on the waiver wire. Juju Smith-Schuster, who's going to get some touches with the Chiefs, might be an interesting target. I'm not high on Wendell Robinson. Somebody picked him up on Fantasy Football and asked, should I start him? I said no, and he's like, oh, I should have started him. I would have got points. And I'm not high on him myself, but other people are. I'm just kind of spitballing. The guys that may be on the waiver. Jahan Dotson for the Eagles. He was traded preseason. He's probably going to get some more touches. That would be a guy I would maybe take a look at. Darnell Mooney. I hate anything with Atlanta, so never mind about Mooney. What about? Let me ask you this here: in your league, you probably have Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk, somebody may want to go ahead. This is another guy you want to buy low on. But would I do Pittman and Ford for Higgins? The answer is no. Can you do Pittman and Ford? I'm going to level with you because you got Chubb on the IR. I wouldn't make a move for a running back at all. You've got some good ones. I think you got Hall. Look, I'm going to level with you. I'm a Chiefs fan. So I do know that tomorrow is a bad matchup for Monday night, but I also think at this point in time, you might have to start him. Now, if Chubb comes back from injury, Chubb against Washington, I would play. Chargers have a bye. We have bye weeks coming in. So Dobbins has a bye. By the way, he's healthy going into the bye, so you definitely want to hold on to Dobbins. Breece Hall plays at Minnesota on that London. London's such a weird thing, but I mean, look, keep an eye out on the injury report. By the way it works is that Chubb comes back to practice tomorrow. Whether it's Ford or whether it's Chubb, you want to start those guys. Neighbors, I believe is going to be cleared. You watched Monday Night Football. Jared Goff was perfect, literally perfect on Monday night. So I think if Neighbors is healthy, you 100% want to play him. Godwin has a tough matchup on Monday night. I will say this, and I'm going to continue to say that. Jesus. Oh, yes. Yeah, you have some really good. You have a good team. It's a good team. This is what I would do if I was you. I would drop Rice, scour the waiver wire, and see what you can get. You may want to reach out to whoever has Tyreek Hill and see what they want. You might be able to do something really crazy like no joke here. You may be able to get London for Tyreek Hill straight up or Godwin for Tyreek Hill straight up. You have a guy in Neighbors that you have to play. Deontay Johnson, you're going against Chicago. That's a tough matchup. But I will say this here. You know the one thing I want to scour the waiver wire, see who's available for Rice. Send out some feelers for some ones that you could go ahead and buy low. I'd look at anybody on Miami, Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Trying to think of who else you may want to take a look at that you may be able to buy low on. But scour the waiver wire, see what you can get. But because you got some really, really good players on IR, hold off. I've been saying, I also said this in my picks video. Please watch it. Indianapolis goes to Jacksonville this week. Now, if Flacco starts, I would strongly recommend you start Pittman. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. But Anthony Richardson's got this oblique strain. Believe it or not, it actually affects your throwing motion, but he was doing bad when he was healthy. So kind of pay attention to that, because if you get Flacco in the game, I would definitely start Pittman. You may want to start Pittman anyway, unless you can pick up somebody on the waiver wire. But keep an eye out, because I think Chubb is a must start. Now that we're entering bye weeks, kind of keep an eye out. Obviously, don't go with Dobbins. So, Monty with the nasty truck stick. Yeah, I mean, let's give Detroit credit. Jared Goff was perfect. Didn't get a game ball. I do not understand that at all. That's one of the the Lions did some things I really didn't like in this game. They put up 42 against a depleted Seattle defense. I've been telling people don't buy into this. I remember late in the game, they were using Gibbs between the tackles to run the ball out, and then you have Montgomery getting a sweep on the outside, which didn't work. And I remember thinking, if Seattle wins this game, I'm going to look at that sequence of events and just say, oh my God. But I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of Gibbs getting more carries than Montgomery. I'm just not. I mean, look, I know 14, 78 and 2. Why am I complaining versus 12, 40 and 1? Well, then you just point out the reason why. You got a guy who's running over guys, and instead you want to, the one thing about the Lions is that, I would like to see the Lions be more of a physical team. And that made me really, really excited. But then they get cute, and that safety at the end of the game could have been disastrous. It's a weird combination, but yeah, there are some really good things in this game. So, I mean, give them credit. Give them credit. Big win. Goff was perfect. Didn't get game ball. Somebody explain that to me. Seattle, it's kind of funny because a lot of people, I'm going to keep bringing up this game because I saw the lines already dropped. New York played on Thursday. Seattle had a really tough loss on Monday. New York played on Thursday. The line's already dropping. But if you're a Lions fan, you gotta be happy. By the way, I'm wearing all black, just like the Lions. When I saw the uniform come out, I didn't like it, but I'm going to level with you. It was a little cooler than I thought. I don't like I loved when the Falcons did it in the 90s. The 90s. 2024, I don't like the teams going all black. There's always some idiot Chiefs fan who's pitching in a black alternate Chiefs uniform. And I keep saying the same thing. No, the Chiefs red's awesome. The Honolulu blue is fantastic. I like the white with the blue helmets too, but you should be happy. You should be happy. Yeah. Yeah, big win against a team that's been beating you up for I think it's something. I know he's gone 0 and was Dan Campbell's gone 0-2 or 0-3 against the Seahawks. Now he gets win 1. Seattle's won something like 7 straight. That streak is over. Big win. Just DROY. My team went off back-to-back plus 160 performances. But hey, man, I'm here to help. Even though I'm not calling this even though I am calling this not a fantasy football day, I'm here to answer all fantasy questions. I do want to point out some matchups I think that will be good in fantasy. I emphasized Michael Pittman with the Colts. That's kind of a weird situation because I think that if Flacco starts, Pittman is a viable fantasy football option. If Anthony Richardson starts, I might not even play him. By the way, that's a low-key big game, Indianapolis at Jacksonville. Lots of things going on there. That's a game I'm kind of paying attention to. But this year I've decided that I'm going to do everything humanly possible to get everybody to win as much on fantasy football as they can. And that's just not me. I mean, that's just, you got advice in the chat. You could drop comments in there. I'll go over everything as much detail as I can. Yeah, I mean, there's some interesting matchups this week in fantasy football. I was going through the NFL network, and I noticed that they had a few things that I would rank a little different. And I kind of want to bring that up. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to, you know, bench your stars, but there's a few players I'm kind of looking at, and I'm like, God, this would be a guy I might want to play. I'm going to level with you. Nick Chubb against Washington, I think, is a must play if he plays. He comes back to practice tomorrow. That's something I'm really eyeballing because Cleveland is a team that's struggling. They have all sorts of problems. They get their best offensive player. The AFC North looks very vulnerable, even though Cleveland's only 1-3. They go to Washington on the road. They win that game. It's like, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, this has been a while. It's the first quarter of the NFL, and it's just absolutely wild so far. Just absolutely wild. But I'm paying attention to that. A good grief. How does Davis play 88 snaps in the game? I'm going to level with you. I thought he played pretty well. Again, DK Metcalf, didn't he have a fumble, something like that? If I remember correctly, I could be wrong about that, but I didn't know it was 88. I'll level with you. I didn't know it was 88. A good time to have a bye in Detroit. Their schedule kind of gets a little tougher coming up. I'm trying to pull it up here because their schedule gets a little tough after the bye. Listen, this 5-game stretch. I mean, this is pretty rough. At Dallas, at Minnesota, Tennessee at home. By the way, after those 2 games, Tennessee at home, definitely a trap game. One you should win, but that definitely a trap game. At Green Bay, at Houston on Sunday night, then you get Jacksonville at home, another trap game. But ignore Jacksonville. That 5-game stretch, 4 on the road. Minnesota didn't go to the playoffs last year, but that's a good team. The other 3 opponents did, and that's a brutal stretch, man. Good to get the bye now. I've never been a fan of buys early in the year, but yeah. Sizu, what's up, brother? Man, sorry I wasn't that big on DK. I mean, no, I'll be honest with you. Ignore the fantasy numbers. I thought overall he did a solid job. I mean, one of the things about the NFL is that passing yards is kind of an overrated statistic. A lot of people are going to look at 395 passing yards and say, "Oh, the Lions defense didn't do a good job." Well, when you win by 13 points, should have been more. But I mean, when you win by double digits and you give up a lot of passing yards, that's not a bad thing. I didn't like the fact that Walker, when he was able to run, had issues, caused problems for the Lions defense. Didn't like that. I was hoping to get a little more pressure on Geno Smith, but overall, you caused him a lot of problems. I mean, Geno Smith did struggle. You had a lot of passing yards. Great if you started him on fantasy football, but I mean, he did throw a pick the last play of the game to ice it, didn't he? And I mean, the one thing I want to take away is that Goff's probably not going to go perfect again. Terrion Arnold is struggling, but if hopefully you understand that when you drafted him, I didn't expect him to struggle quite so much, but you had to expect some growing pains. So this is kind of a good thing that look, you're 3-1, your first round draft pick who you're putting in there struggling. But the thing is about him is that you could tell he looks like an NFL player. Like, this isn't a guy who looks lost. He doesn't look like he doesn't belong. Is he playing as well as Brian Branch is, rookie? No, he's not. But he's a lot more raw. And so you get the bye week. Lions fans should be happy. I mean, I can nitpick. I can nitpick, but I mean, double-digit win at home against a team that's beaten you the last couple of years. So, Saquon Broads, what's up, brother? Should I start Tyreek or Terry? Okay, so this is a great question. This is a great question. So, first of all, Terry McLaurin has a really tough matchup this week. They're favored against Cleveland. I know Cleveland's 1-3. The defense is for real. Okay, the defense is for real. Okay. Despite of how bad New England is playing right now, their defense is good. All right. So the matchups aren't really that good. All right. I'm leaning towards McLaurin, even though I just told AK to try to see if you can make a move for Tyreek Hill. I want to be very clear that I fully expect Miami's offense to improve over the next couple of weeks. You got to settle on no quarterback. If I'm Miami, Tyler Huntley, I would continue to play him. I saw some things I liked out of him. He just looked a little confused. That defense is really, really, really good. I like the fact that you had Tyreek Hill in the backfield, and also like the fact that they look like they're trying to get him the ball. One thing about Tyreek Hill is that he had some issues in Kansas City, showing frustration. Look, it's kind of funny. If you take a moldy blueberry, you just take one, you put in a bunch of blueberries. Next thing you know, all of them are moldy. You just need one bad one. For everything I've heard good about Tyreek Hill, he seems like I'm looking at him on the sidelines, and he doesn't look. It looks like he's just not a rah guy. He's not a guy who's going to rally the team around him. When things go bad, it just kind of goes downhill. So, I would lean toward McLaurin, but I mean, I thought they tried harder to get Tyreek Hill the ball. Tyler Huntley, if they continue to go with him, is going to improve. If they go back to Skylar Thompson, you definitely want to go with McLaurin, but I would lean towards McLaurin. I mean, you got a good quarterback in Washington for now. It's by the way, that matchup against the Browns defense is going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really, really tough. New England does have a good defense despite of everything that's going on, but lean towards McLaurin. I wouldn't hate you if you went with Tyreek Hill. So. I saw him again. He deflected so many catches. No, I mean, it wasn't. Sorry, I wasn't. No, I mean, seriously, the thing about DK Metcalf, he's always been streaky, and he's always been streaky, and I could easily. I mean, maybe this is the year everything straightens up with him. I don't know. Maybe he's grown up quite a bit, because the one thing about DK Metcalf, he entered into the NFL young, and I mean, maybe it's DK Metcalf time. You never know. Absolutely, yeah. It's actually funny. Just Dre, when I first started this channel, I wanted it to be sports betting. And then I just kind of morphed into picks. My number one goal is to talk football. I mean, I just want to talk football. It was actually it was Funk. I think you said it. Like if you want to trip Dan up, just throw out a random player from the 80s or 90s, and then he'll go on a rant. But I mean, yeah, I did some in-game betting. That's actually been the number one thing I would recommend is in-game betting on the Chiefs. The Chiefs have given up a score on the opening possession every single game this year. So in-game betting on the Chiefs is gold. I bet on Pittsburgh last week. Keep in mind, if I knew Flacco was going to play the majority of the game, I wouldn't have made that bet. But I this year I'm kind of affiliate with Bet US, so I've been using Bet US. I live here in Vegas. I am literally, if I'm doing my directions correct, there's a William Hill Sportsbook less than 2 miles that way. Station, I believe, is 3 miles that way. I set up an account with them. I was planning on going and shopping around for bets this year. I do small bets. Try to keep this rant to a minimum here. Rule number one to sports betting is don't bet your rent fund. Don't bet your rent check. I'm trying to get involved in real estate. I'm renting a condo here in Vegas. I'm trying to purchase something. So I'm not doing large bets, just $25 a game. In-game betting with Kansas City is gold right now. I mean, but I'll be honest with you. I do like Kansas City just straight up. It was 5.5. Since I'm using Bet US this year, I'll stick with Bet US. The $100 deposit is that I made. They gave me a $25 free bet, which I won. They also got the $100 deposit. I used a promotion to get $120, so it's a little misleading when I say that my $100 deposit is now over $200, but it is over $200. But yes. Sports betting is something I'm an expert on. When I started Afternoon Delight, I was planning on just doing a little bit of college and a little bit of fantasy. People blew up fantasy football, so I might actually do fantasy football Fridays. So I mean, it's been that much fun. My goal, I just want to talk football. That's all I want to do. But yes, and I would say the two things I know more about than most people are is NFL history and NFL betting. The one thing about NFL betting, I only bet on the NFL. Occasionally, I'll make a college bet. There might be a weird instance where I might, bet on something else. But yeah. Oh yeah. Once I purchase a property, the betting amounts will go up to 100, maybe more. It used to be I would fly out to Vegas and bet a couple thousand on yearly win total odds. That's where I really have made a lot of money over the years, but not doing that now. I thought he played them pretty well. Yeah, I mean, I thought he played them really well, to be honest with you. I mean, Terrion Arnold is also, you get the bye week this week. I was really expecting to see more of Rakestraw. I know he played a little bit. I don't know the extent of Brian Branch's injury. So there's a lot of really good things that Lions fans should take away from this game. I know that, you may look at, oh, Dan, you're hating. I'm just being honest. I mean, I saw some things I didn't like, but the one thing I want you to be happy and everything, but I've been saying this all week. I'm not sold on Seattle. I don't think Seattle's that good of a team. I know they're 3-0. Give kudos to them. I mean, when you go 3-0 in the NFL, that's a good stretch. I don't buy into them. I think that when everything's said and done, I don't think Seattle's going to be a playoff team. I really don't. They also had a lot of injuries on defense. They have it. They have a sub. I watched my picks video because I point this out. They play the Giants at home next week, and this is a very dangerous game because you got New York fresh off a Thursday game, and New York matches up really well against Seattle. It's a really good matchup. And I would not be surprised if the Giants win that game. And if they do, people in Seattle are going to panic. I'm going to be there going, yeah, I kind of told you so. So, it is a good matchup against it. So here's the deal. The reason why I like the Giants matchup against Seattle is because that front seven against Seattle's offensive line is an issue. They assigned Jason Peters, but the Giants secondary, I would probably play DK Metcalf this week. I mean, Davis did playing pretty well. I think part of the issue was all the snaps the defense played. In fact, the Lions scored so fast on 2 straight possessions, like 5 plays. Yeah. I thought he played well. I also think DK had a solid performance because of many dropbacks from. Gino, if I'm correct, it was like 58, 59 passing attempts. They got down early. They abandoned the run game, which I thought was kind of a mistake. But I get it. So, Hatters out 7-1-0. Go Lions. Go Lions, man. In very impressive win. Jared Goff was perfect. Did not get a game ball for whatever reason. I mean, best game of his life. If you want to argue the 51-48 win over Mahomes when he was a Ram, you could argue that, but I think this game's better. I really do. I mean, it went perfect. Screw Seattle for running late. It's funny though. I really thought in the second half, I really thought they should have ran the ball more, but yeah. 3 sacks and 9 hits. I didn't know they got that many. To be honest, I thought it was fewer, but yeah, good win. Yeah, Pickett is going to be known as the Kirby Special. I like that name though. I liked it in the back. I liked it. I liked it a lot. The officials sucked, especially on that 2-point play. First, there was no pass interference, and the second, DK was in. I was critical of the officiating. By the way, it's funny. I have a buddy of mine. He keeps on sending me stuff about the officials not calling stuff on the Chiefs. He sends me stuff almost every single day, so I get a lot of stuff about the officiating. I was critical about the officiating last week. I didn't think the officials did a good job on Monday night. The one thing is that a lot of people are critical because you have to understand what you brought it up yourself. Carlton Davis played 95 plays? Is that correct? 88 snaps. The officials probably, for over 80 of them, did a good job. But, I mean, there was a handful of plays I was like, ugh. Hill will stick to my bench this week with Mahomes. If I remember your lineup correctly, this isn't bad. I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to New England. You don't know who the quarterback is. That's a problem. New England has a good defense. Saints have a good defense. And Mahomes hasn't been playing well. I will warn you, Monday night at Arrowhead, they got some players out on defense. So be warned. Be warned. If I remember right, though, you have Jaden Daniels. You have Jaden Daniels, right? If I remember, I'm gonna level with you. If you got to pick between Jaden Daniels and Patrick Mahomes at home on Monday night, I might go with Mahomes. I don't blame you for putting Hill on the bench. I wouldn't also blame you if you're like, hey, look, I got Jaden Daniels at home against 1-3 Browns team. The one thing I will tell you though is that Cleveland's defense is good. I mean, their defense is playing really, really, really well. So you've been warned. Do I trade Achane and Madison for DK? My running backs are Jonathan Taylor and Cook. My wide receiver, Greg Wilson and Ayuk. I don't know why they're not using Wilson more. I do know that they put Jalen Wright in there significantly more. And then Raheem Mostert, I thought would be back a couple weeks ago. So I don't hate that. I know Madison's probably going to get a few more touches with the Raiders, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, as long as Jonathan Taylor, by the way, Jonathan Taylor did get banged up in that game. I believe he's going to play. I haven't had a chance to check the injury report. I will tell you this: Jonathan Taylor, if he does play, I think will have a good game against Jacksonville. So, keep in mind, I think both Wilson and Ayuk's production is going to go up. Since you got two good running backs, DK Metcalf, I want to warn you, I know his production over the last couple of weeks has been really, really well. DK Metcalf is a very streaky guy, very streaky. And I also thought Seattle kind of went into panic mode, getting down, just decided I thought in the third quarter they should have ran the ball a little more, but I will say this. I like New York's front seven, okay? Just full disclosure. I like their front seven against Seattle's offensive line. I like that matchup quite a bit. I mean, DK Metcalf at home against a young, beat up secondaries. You have to do it. So I would actually make this move. I really would. Keep in mind, I mean, when you trade two running backs and Jonathan Taylor, your main guy's a little banged up, you will need to pick up another running back. So depending on what your options are, is there any possible way that you can get, you probably can't get a garbage running back to make that trade. You'll need to pick up another running back, though. I mean, you're getting rid of two. Figure somebody to pick up very fast. Do it sooner rather than later. But yeah, I like the trade. I like the trade. I'm assuming you're in a PPR league. But if you do this here, DK's a start. I mean, Garrett Wilson against the Vikings defense is tough, but you might have to do it. I don't know your whole lineup, and then Brandon Ayuk, I would start as well. But I like the move. From what information I have, that's what I like. I do want to do a retro show. So I'm doing Afternoon Delight during football season, but after football season, I'm not sure of what I'm going to do. I'm leaning around just going back to doing like one show a week. But if I do that, I might do a retro show. I might do it after the season, but before the draft. I thought that might be kind of fun. I might do one during the summer, but yeah. I love talking NFL history. I think NFL history is like one of the things I know. Like I could honestly say I'm an NFL history expert. So I had the waiver option. I took Swift for Pollard or Higgins. Well, Pollard had a big game. I don't know what Swift did. I know he got a touchdown. I think he might have done better this last week. Maybe 16 from 93 and a touchdown. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh God. Yeah. 7 for 72. I should know his numbers, but um, good job. Good job. Yeah, that was smart. Pollard had a good game too, but yeah. If you're talking about this, um, let me see here. Other options are Kareem Hunt, Dowdle. I've not been a fan of. Oh yeah, Brown with the Bengals, who had I think he had 2 touchdowns last week. Um, so you have Swift, right? Um, I'm trying to see what else. I'm trying to see what else you're. All right. So you have Swift. I'm adamant that the Bears should use Swift more, and hopefully they figure that out. And Swift is a good matchup against Carolina. So hopefully you do that. If you're looking for other options, I would lean towards Kareem Hunt. He looked really, really, really good. Irving and White are interesting. Now, Rashad White had some food poisoning. I believe he's 100%. Matter of fact, let's go because this is important because this is a Thursday game and this is a fun game too. Um, Now they got a lot of guys on the injury report, but um, I don't see Rashad White on there. I know Rashad White didn't play much, but I know he also had food poisoning. Um, I have to admit I'm a little surprised that as much as I liked Bucky Irving, I'm a little surprised he was getting that many touches. I'm a little surprised he's getting that many touches. Um, I'm leaning. I'm a level with you. I would go with White over Irving. I kind of think that the only reason he got that many touches is kind of a blowout win. And that Rashad White had food poisoning. One thing about food poisoning, if you ever had it, it just zaps you. It usually comes and goes pretty quick. Thursday night's a tough one. It's a quick matchup, but I think you have to play him. Depending on your lineup and everything. But I mean, if you have to choose between the two, go with Rashad White. I also would definitely, I would strongly suggest picking up Kareem Hunt, and then if you have DeAndre Swift, you're in good shape. That 170 yards TD, yeah. Goff's perfect game check is QBR. Then you realize there's an incomplete. Yeah, I remember the holding call, and then it was very little. One thing I do want to point out, this was a dude who I absolutely loved, even though he was a Bronco, was Tim Patrick, and he had a couple receptions in the game. I mean, I don't I you know he's not really going to be a big option, but hopefully you saw some potential and you saw some upside in Tim Patrick. This is a dude who I just absolutely loved in Denver. I agree with you, Funk. He'd look much better in a Chiefs uniform, but yeah. All the. And by the way, this is kind of what here's what I'd like to see more of Detroit. Run the ball, have Goff, who's really good at just dinking and dunking. That's what you want out of him. And then he gets this. Then he has this one attempt per. You know, but I mean, if you take away that 70, it's like, oh wow. But this is when I think the Lions are at their best. Is when they run the ball, use the short passing game, and then you want to go deep, maybe once or twice a game. That's when the Lions are at their best. But I want to emphasize the more power, the more they run the ball. I would like to see more Montgomery. That's kind of when you're at your best. So, but yeah, Oh, and the game ball goes to Ben Johnson. He only had one play that golf did an audible one time. He got. I do think it kind of sucks that I just want to say I think it kind of sucked that you went perfect on Monday Night Football. You didn't get game ball. So Andre, what's up, brother? Is Kareem Hunt worth dropping a lot of fantasy AB? Seems like a clear number one guy. A lot is I'm sorry. I apologize. I realize I'm rubbing my eyes a lot. The one thing about living in Vegas I haven't adapted to is the dryness. So I apologize. I know I rub my eyes a little too much. FAAB, I'm assuming free agent. Okay. All right. A lot's a relative term. I'm going to say no because he is the number one guy in Kansas City. He played really, really well. His touches are going to go up. But one of the things that Kansas City is going to do is they're bringing back CEH, Carlos Edwards-Helaire. I think he's coming back this week and maybe next week. Carson Seal did have a fumble. They still like him. Deontay Johnson's still a guy that they like using on third down. A lot's a relative term, but in my opinion, depending on your lineup, I would put Kareem Hunt right now as a low end too. Saints have a good defense. Full disclosure, the Saints have a good defense. The way I see that matchup going is I think the Saints are, believe it or not, going to try to make the Chiefs one-sided. I think they'll try to take away the run, force Mahomes to beat them, and then Mahomes will do it. Just full disclosure, because I mean, you have Mahomes who has 5 sacks and he's been a little off, and it could just be the polar opposite, where the Saints say, you know what, we're going to just rush 3 or 4 the whole game. We're going to drop 7 to 8 back in the coverage, and you can run the ball all day long. And then when we get inside the red zone, force you to field goals. I could see either one of those options. I actually think the Saints may get a little aggressive in this game and try to pressure Mahomes, try to force an error, lean on the running game. But is he the number one guy in Kansas City? Yeah. Is he a number one running back in fantasy football? I don't think he's a number one option yet. And I say yet because, I mean, he's still got to get more integrated into the offense. But when CEH comes back, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Chiefs have always been high on CEH for whatever reason. So just full disclosure, they've always been high on him. So you have Pollard and Higgins. You do have Swift also. Pollard, if you started Pollard, that was a great job. Higgins, so on. My favorite play was the 1-yard throw to Monty where he buried Witherspoon. That was awesome. I love that play. That was if you're a football fan, you love that. I wanted to see more of that, but they gave Gibbs more carries than Montgomery. So, not to see. Guys, I'm going to take a quick commercial break, but when I come back, I'll come back with hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. Stay tuned. As I take a quick commercial break to fix my hair, just a reminder, my award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video is out. If you haven't watched it already, make sure you do it. Not now. this is only a commercial. We still have more afternoon delight to give you, but do check out my NFL Weekly Picks video. It's awesome! Dan Talks Football is a proud affiliate of BetUS. You can get up to 125% bonus as featured, or do what I did and take a 20% bonus up to $2,500. I made a video where I show you my first $100 deposit, and thanks to the extra 20%, it turned into $120 instantly. This promotion isn't just for 1 or 2, but your first 3 deposits. Click on the link in the description and start winning today. Yes! All right, hour 1 is in the books. We're back with hour 2 of Afternoon Delight. Sizu, you mentioned something about Swift earlier, so did I get this wrong? All right, I got my comments mixed up. All right. Craig! Yes. I'm more than happy to email you. Thanks for coming on and dropping a comment here. I appreciate it. I'm going to do everything I can. By the way, if you do email me at dantalksfootball@yahoo.com, I will get back to you. It may be late, but I will get back to you within a 24-hour period. You can also hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. If you drop a comment in the YouTube video after the stream ends, or you could actually do it now if you wanted to, I will get back to you, because my goal is to help you win your fantasy matchup. I think did you lost this week, am I correct? So my help didn't really help out this week. No. So I even though he appreciates the help, I got him a loss. But we're going to change that around. We're going to change that around. We're going to all get some wins this week. With my team, what would you recommend to go for Hill? What should I give? I would try to do a flat up trade with one of your number 2 receivers. This is, by the way, this is kind of negotiating 101. Instead of doing something that's a fair value or what you perceive as fair, you don't know what somebody else in your league is going to do. You may have a Falcons fan, or maybe somebody who likes USC, who thinks Drake London's worth a little more. There's always players, like, for example, DeAndre Swift. I loved DeAndre Swift coming out of Georgia. This is a guy I loved. I had a huge man crush on him. I probably value DeAndre Swift. I probably value DeAndre Swift a little more than most people. Saquon Barkley was somebody coming out Penn State, major man crush on. Wendell Robinson, I thought was maybe the worst pick in the entire draft. I didn't like the pick. If you go back and watch my draft videos, if you go back, if you watched me at all last year, I talked about how I wasn't high on Caleb Williams. These things come into play. So I believe in the philosophy of trying to buy low. So whoever on your team has either Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle's also an interesting option as well. He didn't have a good game. I would strongly suggest going after Tyreek Hill, because your team, you have Chris Godwin, maybe the guy who drafted this happens a lot. Like I lived in Kansas City, and I knew a guy. He would try to get like 3 or 4 Chiefs players on his team, on his fantasy team, like that. It was this was actually before Patrick Mahomes, so like you weren't even getting, these weren't really good options. Um, I mean, but I think one year he took Travis Kelce in round 1. We were all like, and I had one buddy, he was a big Cowboys fan. He won a bunch of Cowboys players. So, I mean, I don't know the specifics of your league, but you may be in a situation where you might be able to get Drake London or Chris Godwin straight up for Tyreek Hill. Definitely a possibility. I would try that. I would just go receiver for receiver. Just, hey, look, you don't like Tyreek Hill. Well, would you take this? And what you want to do in negotiating is you're just trying to open up a line of communication with somebody. Have him ask what he wants. Don't give him everything when you never know. There's a book called I'm drawing a blank on it, but anyway, compromise. Well, okay, so let's say you want to wear black socks and your wife wants you to wear brown socks. So you compromise, wear one of each. No, it doesn't make any sense. All right. Don't go into a negotiation and give up everything right away. There's only really one winner, and that's what you want. So I would lowball the guy, because you never know. Is he somebody who's in, I have no idea what part of the country you're in. If you're in Florida, maybe he has Chris Godwin, maybe he has a little more value to you than maybe he probably took Tyreek Hill over number 1 overall. By the way, if he lives in Florida or he's a Dolphins fan, he's probably not giving up Tyreek Hill. You could also go open-ended and just flat out ask the guy, hey, what do you want for Tyreek Hill? Is he available? If he's a Dolphins fan, he's probably not giving him up. Let's say he's just frustrated and he just wants to get rid of him for some points. Chris Godwin will get you points. Drake London will get you points. I'm not giving you a great answer, but it's something that what I am trying to tell you is that you have a really, really good team right now. The only recommendation I would have is you got to drop Bryce. That's it. Is there a possibility that you could pick up Tyreek Hill? Because you might be in a situation where you could buy low. If so, see what you can do. I would not break up your team to go after a player who may continue to do what he does. But if you do go after Tyreek Hill, I would lowball the guy, because the value of Tyreek Hill may not be very high to that guy. That guy might just be pissed. He might just be like, hey, you know what? I just want to get rid of this guy. I'm so frustrated. I just need a guy who's going to get some points. Well, who will get you points is Drake London, who's sitting on your bench probably. All right. Chris Godwin sitting on your bench. Maybe he's a big Deontay Johnson fan for whatever reason. Just, if you have to offer a trade, lowball him. But what I would recommend is to just talk to the guy and say, hey, listen, are you interested in moving on from Tyreek Hill? And he may say, yeah, I'll move on from Hill, but more than likely, if he took Tyreek Hill, that's a number 1 receiver for him. And he wants a receiver in return. You might be in a situation, if you could pick up a receiver on the waiver wire, maybe you can give up London. You may be able to give up London and Godwin, because Deontay Johnson's picking up for you, and Neighbors is a 1. I'm not giving you a direct answer, AK, but in the way your team is set up, I really want you to keep it as is. You just got to figure out you just got to replace Rice. And unfortunately, in Kansas City, you got Juju Smith-Schuster, you have McCole Hardman. There was a thing I sent to a buddy of mine because we're Chiefs fans, where Sky Moore was the guy who was supposed to be Rashee Rice. He got one target in that game and he dropped it. And apparently, I sent this to a buddy of mine. Somebody posted on Instagram that he was in the suite next to Brett Veach, who's the Chiefs general manager. And when Sky Moore dropped the pass, he heard a loud thud. And apparently Brett Veach just threw something on the ground when Sky Moore dropped it. So, probably don't want to pick up Sky Moore. By the way, he didn't see the field again. So, but you have 3 different players trying to replace, Rashee Rice. And there's talk about the Chiefs trading for Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins. Those are other options. I said Hill, but might be able to get somebody like DeAndre Hopkins. By the way, DeAndre Hopkins, how much more would his value increase if he gets traded to Kansas City? So can't really give you a direct answer, but I would reach out to the guy. If you have to instigate a trade with him in order to start a conversation with him, lowball him, see what he wants in return. I really like your team the way it is, so don't mess with it too much. Oh yeah, Tim Patrick is an upgrade. Tim Patrick's an upgrade. This is a guy that you're really gonna like, and I was pulling for him even though he's a Denver Bronco. But yeah, he's a really good player. He's a really good player. I like the way that they were, if my opinion, Monroe should be option 1. I think Laporta should be option 2. And then you have Jameson Williams as 3. Your running back should be option 3 in the passing game. And then JMO 4, but Tim Patrick is 5. But it wouldn't surprise me if down the line you use Tim Patrick more and use Jameson Williams. Keep in mind, because of the big playability with Jameson Williams, you're always going to get more yards out of Williams. But I'd like to see for example, Patrick's more likely to do 5 catches, 60 yards, where Jameson Williams will have 3 catches for 70. You'll get more yards from Jameson Williams. But if I'm the Lions, I really want to get Tim Patrick more involved in that offense. He's really good. He's a really good player. You guys got a really good pickup. We're going to change this. I also lost week 3, but came back and won week 4, and we're gonna keep that up. I remember that you needed, what was it, Montgomery and Laporta to get 50, and then you had Tyreek Hill, who did very little. I like the fact they're using him in the backfield, but I was like, God. But I got you to win. Peyton. That's very cool. I like that. Pick 2. Kareem Hunt, Chase Brown, Donovan Wicks, Josh Downs, Leggett, Tank Dell, Rico Dowdle on waivers. I need 2. Okay. I'm gonna throw out the 2 that I like. Kareem Hunt, but I'm a Chiefs fan. If you want to go Tank Dell instead, I don't hate you. But I Kareem Hunt. Keep in mind, there's some question marks at how much they're going to use him. I like Leggett because he's going to be the number 1 receiver in Carolina. He has all the athletic ability in the world. Raw as hell, but now you have Andy Dalton and you have Thielen out for the year. So I think Leggett. I would tell you Kareem Hunt because I'm a Chiefs fan. But I will let you know, like, Tank Dell's not a bad option. Chase Brown had a couple touchdowns last week. I feel like such a jerk because I'm an anti-Dowdle guy, and I don't like being anti anybody. Like, I don't like oh, I don't like this guy, and I mean he didn't do anything wrong. It's just that when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, like, you picked up Dalvin Cook on waivers. Well, why aren't you using him? Ezekiel Elliott, I thought they would use him a little more. They don't. As long as Anthony Richardson's the quarterback in Indianapolis, I'm not really. It's hard for me to really be big on Downs. I know. Listen, I know Wicks got a couple touchdowns last week. I'm full disclosure. I'm looking up his stats as we're talking. 4 games this year, twice he went for 0. So I would rule out Wicks completely. I would. By the way, if they promote Flacco as the starting quarterback, which I think they should do, you would consider Downs. Until that happens, don't consider him. So I think Leggett, 100% Leggett. That name stands out. You could go Brown, but I really personally feel like they should do Zach Moss, who I know Brown had more yards. Kareem Hunt looks like he's being the number 1 guy. I don't really know what's going on. And Tank Dell's a guy I like too, but as a Chiefs fan, Kareem Hunt, high-powered offense, really good offensive line, best quarterback in the NFL, despite not getting the numbers. So, Leggett's the answer. You could go in a couple different directions for 2. I'm leaning towards Kareem Hunt because out of all those guys, he's most likely to be a clear-cut number 1 on a high-powered offense. I like Zach Moss more than I like Chase Brown, but fantasy-wise, Chase Brown last week did better. Might continue to keep doing better. So. That would be my recommendation. And by the way, if you get Leggett, I would recommend, it depends on your team. It really depends on your team, but I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards if you're going with a receiver in Leggett, I would strongly recommend going back with a running back. You said you need 2, get a running back and a receiver. Now, if you need 2 receivers and you don't need a running back, that's a little different. So I really don't know everything here, but since you said you need 2, get a receiver, get a running back. So Kareem Hunt and Leggett. Again, if you went Chase Brown or Dowdle, I get it. But out of those 3 running backs, Kareem Hunt's most likely. I mean, Dowdle is the number 1 running back. I keep hating on the guy, and there's no need to. It's just that I don't see why he is the number 1 guy. That's the only problem. So. Funk, man. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Funk says, all right, guys, have a good night. I'll catch y'all next time. Remember to hit the like button. Thank you so much, Funk. Funk, Funk's one of those guys that been on here for a long time. Probably will come back later and listen to the after show. Big fan of Funk. It's always better when he joins the show, man. I'm sorry you're leaving, but I get it. And thanks for giving some notice to hit the like button. Denver Gator, who hasn't joined the show yet, usually me and him become friends. We text each other. He's like, Dan, you need to ask for likes and subscribes more often. So Noah, what's up, brother? Ooh, this is an interesting trade. James Conner and Justin Jefferson for Cole Kmet, Shakir, JSN, and ETN. All right, I need a little more information here because I'm not a fan of giving up the best receiver in football for a couple guys that are number twos. I mean, I'm assuming the only way I would make this trade is if I was in desperate need for some receivers. I mean, did you just get Puka, Rice, and Cup? I need a little more information here. I will say this. I mean, in Cole Kmet, I like Cole Kmet. I have no confidence in what Caleb Williams is doing, so Cole Kmet's value is low. I really like Travis Etienne quite a bit. I mean, a 3-down back with home run speed. I'm firmly convinced the offense is going to pick up. Where Connor, I think his value is going down. So I do think that you're getting more value from Etienne than you are from Connor. I believe that to be true. So I'm looking at 3-for-1 trade is with Justin Jefferson for Cole Kmet, Shakir, and JSN. And I be honest with you, I'm not really a fan. There are exceptions to this. I mean, if you really need a tight end and you're really hurting for receivers, you might make this deal. My gut instinct is to tell you no, because Justin Jefferson's that guy who's just going to consistently produce for you. These three guys combined really aren't. So I'm leaning towards no, but can you give me a little more information? Can you drop your team below? Because there might be an exception, but I right now, I mean, no. But if you got several receivers and you need bodies, you might do this. And I also like the fact that, you're getting a 4-for-2. I mean, it's not like you're getting 4 bad players here, but you're giving up two solid guys, and one who Justin Jefferson's not one I want to give up, even though he has a tough matchup in London next week. I mean, Justin Jefferson's a guy that could possibly win you. Justin Jefferson's one of those guys that can win you weeks and championships. So I'm leaning against it. Please give me a little more information. Craig, he had Rashid Rice and a few other guys. He had Rice, Debo, and Kittle. And I kind of said, because I said, okay, pick up Gesicki, but if Kittle's healthy, play him. And I don't think you did. So, but it turns out B Kittle had touchdown. So. Should I give Hill and D Higgins for Neighbors? That's an interesting trade. So you have Tyreek Hill and you have Higgins. That's interesting. By the way, if he had Neighbors, he might go for that. Ooh, boy. The one issue I have is that if they settle things in the quarterback position, you're going to hate this trade because Tyreek Hill's production could just skyrocket at any time. I just remember watching him on Monday night, just the way he was behaving, his body language, his frustration. It's not good. T. Higgins, I firmly believe, is being phased out. And even though Neighbors did get banged up, he had a concussion. I mean, this is you never. We're in a day and age. But I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is going to sound terrible, but 40 years ago, you wouldn't even think twice about Neighbors. But in today's age, you do. You have some other options at receiver, and I apologize because I know you put up your lineup, but I might make this move because you have some questions that are going on. Keep in mind, there is a chance things get turned around in Miami, and Tyreek Hill starts putting up some monster numbers. And if that's the case, then you're gonna like, oh crap. But today, right now, yeah, I like it. But they fix things in Miami, you're going to hate it. T. Higgins goes at the trade deadline to somewhere like Kansas City, which by the way makes sense for both teams. I have a hard time believing Cincinnati's going to give up Higgins to Kansas City, but could T. Higgins go somewhere trade deadline and start putting up some monster numbers? Sure. Could T. Higgins? I just think he's being phased out in Cincinnati. So pick up the Seahawks defense for the Jets defense. I like the Jets matchup, even though I know they're playing Minnesota. It's in London. It's always a weird game in London. The Seahawks defense. Okay. You wanna give them. I'm gonna warn you about that Seattle game. The Giants played on Thursday. Seattle played on Monday in the Eastern time zone. I know the Jets are playing against a tough, undefeated Vikings team, but defense usually travels well. Another thing about Seattle's defense, I don't know if you saw it, but Boyd Mafe was injured. Leonard Williams was injured. Byron Murphy was injured. Nwasu was injured. I mean, those are their four best pass rushers. Another thing, I mean, Jared Goff had a perfect game. So what is there another defense? Because Seattle's defense, not the one. I know what you're thinking. Oh, you're going against a limited Giants team. They're coming off of an additional 4 days rest. Another thing about the Giants that is underrated is their offensive line's playing a lot better. Anthony Thomas had a great game last week. Now keep in mind, Micah Parsons was banged up. I would, if you're going to get rid of the Jets defense, and I get it. By the way, I don't hate this matchup. By the way, Jets in London, I don't hate this matchup. Defense usually travels a little better. There are some other defenses I may want to consider instead. Denver's defense, is that available? Probably can't get Kansas City's defense. Patriots defense, probably not available. But is there another option? I would not recommend Seattle's defense. Hey man, I'm glad to help you, brother. Okay. Oh, you get these two. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Somebody offered you James Conner and Justin Jefferson, and you give up Cole Kmet, Shakir, JSN, and ETN. I'm sorry. I'm assuming you have another running. Okay, so I mean, same. I would like to know a little more, but yes. If I remember correctly, you do have another tight end that you're starting instead of Kmet, if I remember correctly. And forgive me, I don't have your lineup memorized. I do think James Conner's being phased out, but he's still the starting running back, where ETN's splitting carries. I do like ETN quite a bit, but I do like this trade for you. You get Conner and Jefferson, yeah. Same situation. If I did this deal, my lineup would be Stroud, nice. A-Chain being phased out. Mason also like actually Mason, because there's all sorts of things about CMC may miss the whole year. Connor, okay. I would like to make another move for another running back. The problem is, so here's the problem is that you got Mason and Connor's running backs. I'm not fan of your running backs, but oh god, oh my god, this is ridiculous. I can't believe you would. So I'm not a fan of your running backs, but who cares? I want to say, who gives an F? I'm trying to keep this PG. Listen, I can't believe that there's a guy out there who could possibly have CD Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Amon-Ra on the same team. Oh my god. You got Ferguson. Yeah, make this move. Now, okay, I'm assuming you're in a PPR league. You are one of the few people that I would say goes 3 receivers and 2 running backs. And make this move. And Mason's just your running back number 1, and then you have an option of who to play between Connor and A-Chain. And that's actually a tough choice. I know. I swear I would. Make this trade, Noah. Yeah, insane. I mean, seriously, make this move. I can't. Okay. I don't want to talk about things. I'm going to vent just a second. So, I have to have a full-time job. I can't do YouTube full-time. My channel's not that big. I'd love to, in a couple of years from now, through a combination of sports betting, YouTube, a side hustle, and having my own property. Once I buy my own property, and I get a fixed rate, because one thing about rents is I don't know how old you are, but one of the reasons I moved out here is the rent where I was living at just skyrocketed in value. And so I ended up moving from, I'm going to say Kansas City to Vegas, but when I go to work, they have a fantasy football league, and everybody asks me for fantasy football advice. I cannot wait to go to work and say, listen, I talked to a guy who has CD Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Amon-Ra on his team. I cannot believe, I can't wait to do that. So, you drafted CD Lamb, smart, traded for Pickens, and Pickens is solid at London for Amon-Ra. The guy who got Pickens in London, that's not bad. And then you absolutely please make this move. And the best part is I know Amon-Ra is on a bye this week. But hopefully CD Lamb and Justin Jefferson don't have buys on the same week. But yeah, make this move, man. I'm gonna double check here real fast here. Dallas has a week 7 bye. Dallas has a week 7 bye, and Minnesota. I'm almost positive Minnesota has a late bye. I'm actually super geeked out for you, Noah. Make this move. Minnesota week. I'm almost positive they have a late bye. No, they have week 6. Okay, so they have a bye right after. So 5, 6, and 7, and then you can start all 3. Oh yeah, make this move. The only thing I would want to do is I mean Stroud's a great quarterback. I would want to tighten up your running back room. Because okay, so the way it works, Mason's your number 1 guy. All right. A-Chain and Connor will kind of be phased out. You saw A-Chain, on Monday night, and he's guy could be phased out. Plus, you also have an injury concern. Connor, I think, will be phased out for Trey Benson. Okay. You may have some. So after you make this move, you have some waiver wire guys that you want to take a look at. You maybe you'll pick up Jalen Wright. I would probably available in your league. May get more and more touches. Bigger guy too than A-Chain. Kareem Hunt in Kansas City. That's another guy probably available. You might. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't want you to make any more trades after you do this, but Stevenson for New England, you may be able to trade for. I don't know how long you've been tuned into the show. I was talking earlier about buying low. You may be able to buy Stevenson low. Antonio Gibson, the other running back with the Patriots, is another guy you might be able to snag on the waiver wire. You'll have a few spots available, but I want to tighten up your running back room, but I'm so excited that I'm going to help a guy make a deal. I'm going to take credit for it too. And, but I can't wait to go to work and say, listen, I talked to this guy and he has CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Amon-Ra in his fantasy league, and please tell me it's a PPR league, and with Stroud as your quarterback. Noah, brother, you have got to win this league. And the best part is that, look, don't worry about it if you lose, if you have to have an empty spot. I've seen a guy do this, like he made some moves and some trades, and then multiple guys were on a bye. He couldn't get anybody. He didn't want to give anybody put an empty in there. And actually, if I remember correctly, this happened a long time ago, but he lost that or he won that week with the empty spot. It was kind of weird because he had this monster team and then went into the playoffs and lost. It was just crazy. Like he was projected to win and like everybody had a bad day. It was just really weird, but you should win. I want to tighten up your running back room a little bit, but you have those 3 receivers because they have a bye 5, 6, and 7. All we got to do is just get you to week 8. You're starting these 3 guys. With Stroud, he stays healthy, and you are in fantastic shape. So, if you can, I use Google Chrome. I have multiple windows up. Make the trade and kind of let us know. Yeah, it's awesome. Noah, you're playing in a 2-man league. Yeah, that's a great team. Baltimore's defense. Ooh. Now I'm gonna level with you. I want to level with you. Baltimore's defense isn't the same. You lose multiple coaches. You lost multiple players. They're going against a tough Bengals team. Hold on. Denver is not there. This week, I would take the Patriots. So pick up the Patriots. And the reason why, look at all the problems Miami has, and New England's at home. And what's New England going to do? New England's going to run the ball. What's Miami have problems doing? Stopping the run. But instead of smaller backs, you're going to have a Stevenson running back. You know, I by the way, I like Stevenson this week, but pick up the Patriots. I can almost promise you'll get some points with the Patriots. I'm gonna level with you. I think going to London may be a good game, but yeah, take the Patriots. Yeah, I this is just so awesome. This is so awesome. Andre, great question, man. Dan, with this Rice injury, how much award these uses go up? Patty needs him to step up. Actually, I'm going to level with you, Andre. I don't think it goes up much at all. I really, really don't. One thing I noticed that the Chiefs went a lot more 13 personnel. Jared Wiley, a 4th-round pick out of TCU, he got a few more snaps. I don't think he caught a pass, but the Chiefs really like using that 2-3 tight end personnel. And then I could really see an option. I haven't even checked about CEH. I don't remember if it's the following week or this week that he comes up the PUP list, but the Chiefs always been high on this kid. It's just that for all the good things about him, it hasn't translated onto the field. Maybe being gone for 4 weeks, maybe getting Kareem Hunt in the running back room will be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I honestly don't know. But the one thing I will say is that I think that the running backs will be more involved. I think they'll go a lot more 2-3 tight end sets. The news, I remember when Sky Moore did drop that pass. I think that was the last offensive snap he took. But Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm spitballing, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't have the numbers up. But when Juju Smith-Schuster was in Kansas City, he missed, I think, 4 games. And if I'm correct, I'm just spitballing. I think he had 79 catches, 933, and I think it was like 8. You know what? I'm just going to look it up. But Juju Smith-Schuster is the guy that I think it will be the guy that's going to be used a lot more. Let's take a look here. Is year 78, 933 and 3, but he had 101 targets. It says he played in 16 games here per ESPN. I don't think that's true. I really don't think he played in 16. But in 4 games so far, 2 catches, 17 yards, and a touchdown. Juju Smith-Schuster's production will go up. The Chiefs' tight ends will go up. I think that what the Chiefs like doing with him is about, look, you're going to get about 5 targets a game. So, yeah, Noah. Hey, listen, man. I'm going to, when I go to work, I'm going to take credit for this. And I'm going to say, hey, man, I helped a guy get Amon-Ra, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb all on the same team. That was me. I'm going to take credit for it. But no, you did the work. You're the one who made some really nice trades. And I really hope that you stay in touch with us, because what I really want to see is you just dominate this league. And with those 3 studs, you should. Yeah. You did a great job buying low on them. Yeah, this is what you want to do, is you want to buy low on guys when the value's down, and then you bank on their upside. You're right. Amon-Ra started slow. So, yeah. Yeah. Should I keep ETN and switch him out? Yeah, well, let me ask you this here. I would make that move immediately, but can you, if you can keep ETN and substitute A-Chain, absolutely. But make that trade immediately. It's 10-man. Yeah, make that trade immediately. Will the guy that's making the move? All right, I would 100% substitute A Chain for ETN. I would 100% do that. I don't think the guy would do that, to be honest with you, but whatever you do, make that trade. So what it is that don't bank on CMC coming back. I don't know if you heard, but he has some severe tendonitis in both knees. He saw a specialist in Germany. There's talk CMC is going to be out the whole year. So I would strongly suggest that don't bank on CMC, but Mason right now is your number one guy. I would try to keep ETN, but if you can get those three receivers on the same team and you're in a PPR league, you're good. I mean, you're going to get solid production. And the best part is that they all got buys early, 5, 6, and 7. Amon-Ra's got a buy coming up. And I just looked it up, but I don't remember which one was 6 and 7. I should know that, but I don't. Don't worry about it. And by the way, if you have to have an empty spot, have an empty spot. Because what you're trying to do here is that as soon as you get into week 8, you're just going to be dominant. You're just going to be dominant. So you're in good shape, but I don't bank on CMC. It looks like he's going to be out the whole year. Even if he does come back, I would keep Mason. I would keep Mason, but you may be able to get another good deal. But keep an eye out on the waiver wire. When you make this trade, keep an eye out on the waiver wire. For some running backs. I throw out a few out there, but you may, I mean, you're in a 10-man league. Obviously you're obviously the smart one on the team. I mean, I'm not trying to be, insulting here, but yeah. Yeah, all of us here are floored. And then just some options. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of repeat myself here. Some waiver options that you may want to look at. Antonio Gibson for New England might be a guy that's available. Some guy was talking about Bucky Irvin earlier with the Bucks. Probably not available, but you may want to take a look. He might be. Kareem Hunt for Kansas City's one. I don't believe CEH is going to play. Okay. So here's the drill. I'm getting this straight off of ESPN. There's other sites I like better than ESPN, but this is what ESPN reports. Edwards-Helaire is on track to return from a non-football illness, and it is a non-football illness. So the good news is with a guy like CEH is so a guy like CEH is, remember, he was a first round draft pick. It was something that they refer to as like PTSD. Basically, it was emotional issues. And what the Chiefs did is so what they did is that the Chiefs put him on the PUP list because he left for a non-football illness. The Chiefs were not required to pay him. The Chiefs said, listen, get yourself straight. We're going to pay you all 4 weeks. And you're right. CEH was, I hated that draft pick. Okay. He was the first running back off the board at 32. When I found out the Chiefs drafted somebody, I thought it was DeAndre Swift. That was the guy I wanted. By the way, Jonathan Taylor, I didn't think would fit into the Chiefs offense. Not really a receiving option. Not a bad receiver in the league, but not somebody in the Andy Reid offense. I like J.T. Dobbins better. I like Cam Akers better. I was really mad about it. But I tried to get on board because the one thing about CEH was that excellent receiver. Also, Joe Burrow loved him because he was good at pass protection. And what do you have in Kansas City? Well, you got 15. You want to protect him. I remember he ran a 4.62 at the combine. The thing is, what bothered me is that he looked like a 4.62 guy. I mean, I remember, I was disappointed in my time. It's like that's no, you look like a 4.62 guy. You're not that guy with home run speed. And I have no problem with him being short. But I didn't really feel like he was a power runner. You can be, 5'7", 215, run between the tackles. Like that wasn't his game. Not only are you slow, you're not really a power guy. But Kansas City had high hopes on this kid. And by the way, like everybody raves about his attitude, his work ethic, great locker room guy. But it's never panned out. By the way, Noah, just so you know, CEH, Carlos Edwards-Helaire is 100% available. I guarantee you that. But after picking up Kareem Hunt and some P. Ryan, I would be floored if. By the way, just because he can come back, I don't even know if he's going to play, not play. I'd be shocked that the Chiefs had 4 active running backs on the roster. Now, Carson Steele plays special teams. It is a possibility, but yeah. The Daniels bandwagon versus Mahomes. So, this is actually pretty interesting because it's a lot of fun. Because Patrick Mahomes, I think, has had probably the worst September I've seen him have, and the Chiefs are still 4-0. As a Chiefs fan, that makes me ecstatic. As a fantasy football guy, I'm looking at these numbers: 904 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Hasn't gone over 300 yards yet. Number 1 receiver injured. Travis Kelce turns 35 in a few days. I know this. Me and Travis Kelce share a birthday. You have a great offensive line. You have playmakers too. I mean, the one thing I got to tell you is that you have playmakers here in Kansas City. I mean, you got guys that can do some stuff. Where is it? You still got the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. It's had a bad couple weeks, and the Chiefs are still undefeated. Jaden Daniels has looked phenomenal. Somebody said they'd never seen anything like it, and I was like, yeah, I have, and I've seen it in Washington. It was RG3. I mean, I'm kind of like, I saw the same thing and it didn't end well. A young quarterback who's 200 to 210, if that. I'm going to be very clear. I like what I see out of Daniels. If you go back, watch so I meant to do 8, but I only got 4 done. I did 4 division previews. Go back, watch my NFC's preview. I flat out say Jaden Daniels is my pick to win Rookie of the Year. I called it. I made that video about a month before the regular season started. So do I like Daniels? Yeah, I do. A quarterback that runs that much bothers me. I remember RG3 very, very, very well. I'm gonna warn you too that this Browns defense is no joke. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong in Cleveland. The defense is not one of them. Like this is not like this is not really a good matchup, to tell you the truth. But I don't hate you, man. I don't hate you. And by the way, the Chiefs hosting the Saints on Monday Night Football is not the best matchup in the world. I will say this: Saints defense has been really, really, really good. But I'm going to warn you, Patrick Mahomes, prime time at home. Oh boy. Jaden Daniels going against a very, very good defense on a team that needs a win versus Patrick Mahomes at home on Monday night. I would not blame you one bit if you want to start Jaden Daniels. Because if I remember right, you have Jaden Daniels and Mahomes. I'm just saying you may want to be careful. I'm just saying I'm just saying, listen, I would too. And look, you got some talent. They gave Noah Gray a 3-year, $19 million deal. Juju Smith-Schuster was productive in this offense. I don't know if Worthy's really going to be that guy, but the 4.21 speed and the big play ability is there. I mean, it's evident. Mecole Hardman and Sky Moore were second-round picks with lots of ability. It just really hasn't panned out for either one of them. I will say this about Mecole Hardman. There was times before he left to become a New York Jet and then he came back. There was a few times in Kansas City where he looked really, really, really good. Sky Moore was a guy I really thought he would be the same guy Rashid Rice was. I don't know why it hasn't worked out. But I don't blame you, Sisu, but just a warning, like that defense in Cleveland's a good defense. So Dave, what's up, brother? He says, what's up, Dan? Hope all is well, brother. Wondering if your stance has changed on starting Fields over Kyler Murray now with Lawrence going on IR. Also, any waiver wire suggestions this week? Trevor Lawrence is going on IR. Okay, not Trevor Lawrence. Not Trevor Lawrence. Oh, DeMarcus Lawrence. Oh God. Okay, I have no idea. Oh God. Yes. It's funny. It's funny. I was talking about a buddy of mine I work with. Who gives me a bunch of crap about the Chiefs, and he's a Cowboys fan. I have no why. I'm sorry. I should. No, I was. Before the show starts, I go on ESPN and the NFL Network, and I remember seeing that, and as far as starting Field over Kyler Murray, You know what, Dave? I apologize. I'm I'm going to take a quick commercial break. I want to come back and I kind of want to go over this in a little more detail. But hang on here. I'm going to answer this. You're coming up first. I am going to take a very fast commercial break. I'll be back with hour 3 of Afternoon Delight. Stay tuned. As I take a quick commercial break to fix my hair, just a reminder, my award-winning NFL Weekly Picks video is out. If you haven't watched it already, make sure you do it. Not now. This is only a commercial. We still have more Afternoon Delight to give you, but do check out my NFL Weekly Picks video. It's awesome! Dan Talks Football is a proud affiliate of BetUS. You can get up to 125% bonus as featured, or do what I did and take a 20% bonus up to $2,500. I made a video where I show you my first $100 deposit, and thanks to the extra 20%, it turned into $120 instantly. This promotion isn't just for 1 or 2, but your first 3 deposits. Click on the link in the description and start winning today. Yes! Yes! Hour 2 is in the books. We're back with hour 3 of Afternoon Delight. Thanks to my fantastic advice, I helped somebody get CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown all on the same team. So I think, I cannot wait to tell people that I was involved in a very small, limited capacity, but I'm going to take much more credit for it because that is awesome. That is awesome. All right. I ended on this. Let me backtrack on this a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna full disclosure. Kyler Murray, I thought would have a monster game. Monster game last week. I really did. I thought he'd have a monster game last week against Washington, a bad defense. Now you're going against a good defense in San Francisco. Should have no Fred Warner. And these two teams always play tough. I'm going to level with you, Dave. I'm going to assume from your comment that I recommended Murray over Fields. I could make an argument both ways. I really could. The one thing I will tell you is that, you know, with Kyler Murray is that you do have more options. I should have took a look at this. I believe McBride's going to be good to go. It's questionable. Let me see what it says here. ESPN, not the best source, but it says questionable. Look, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. He did have a touchdown, only 45 yards, but he also has some issues with the offensive line, but I could make an argument both ways. I really could. Do I think the DeMarcus Lawrence injury really affects that game? It does, but I mean, the one thing I do want to point out is that Dallas, with that additional time, they drafted the guy in the second round by the name of Marshawn Kneeland, and I really like this kid a lot. I understand, you know, Sunday night you want to go with Fields prime time at home versus a guy who struggled going on the road. I get that. Fields, by the way, did have a good week last week. I mean, fantasy wise, I mean, this is a good week. I mean, 312 and a touchdown. That's always good. No picks, and then 55 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That's always good. If you think he's going to do that against Dallas, I really don't see it. I mean, I really, really don't see it. And if you're going to tell me, well, Daniel Jones threw for 281, he didn't have a touchdown. As much as I like Pickens, I don't think he's the same as Neighbors. I mean, I know Kyler Murray had a bad week. And I was convinced, even with the problems on the offensive line, I was convinced they were going to, turn things around. I mean, I really thought Kyler Murray was a must play. I have to admit, I took a loss there. Does DeMarcus Lawrence change my opinion? Not really. I would not blame you if you have Kyler Murray and Justin Fields. If you're like, hey Dan, listen, Justin Fields keeps getting better and better and better. Dallas's defense looks bad. I'm going to go with him. Dallas has some time. That Zimmer offense, it's just going to get better. It was funny. I thought I don't, I mean, I try to keep, certain things separate, but the one thing I do want to point out is that I do have another job. I do work full time, unfortunately. I work with some 49ers fans, and they gush over Fred Warner. I love Fred Warner. You take Fred Warner away from this defense, and I don't think he's going to play. I'm looking. They're calling him day to day. I don't think he's going to play. I really don't. That's a big loss. Is Fred Warner different than Marcus Lawrence? The answer is absolutely. So I dropped Michael Wilson for Wendell Robinson. Also tried to drop Michael Wilson for Wicks. I guess it's up to if I have priority. I know Wicks had 2 touchdowns. We were talking about this earlier. 3 touchdowns in 4 games. Great. 2 games, 0. I'm not a Wendell Robinson guy. But I will admit, though, I mean, it's not a bad matchup against a defensive front that is just really, 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 really decimated. In Seattle, it's like every single defensive player is gone. So I wouldn't blame you. But not a big fan. Since you already made the trade, I'm not going to say it's a bad move. Wendell Robinson, I do like the matchup. I don't know if you saw, but against Detroit, it was Byron Murphy was out. Leonard Williams. It was Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Nasamwa, and Boy Mafe was out for Seattle, and I think that 3 or 4 of those guys are going to be out again against the Giants. So I get the Wendell Robinson pickup. I'm not that high on him personally, but I understand the pickup. But if you did try to drop Wendell Robinson for Wicks, I a guy that's been shut out in half his game scares me. But I mean, half his games he scores touchdowns. So your decision. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate you if you did Fields. I would lean towards Murray still. So yeah. GB, what's up, brother? Oh my, all right. So I'm sorry, I got distracted. You have Jonathan Brooks and Bucky Irving. Oh, I remember now. You had to, yeah. God, yeah. Never mind about the running backs. Just make that trade if you can do 8-chain instead of ETN. I would recommend doing that and get Justin Jefferson immediately. Can you make sure you do that while we're can you confirm the Justin Jefferson trade before the end of the show? Because I'm dying to tell anybody that I know somebody I helped. I'm going to lie and I'm just going to say I helped you do it. But I mean, I think you would have made the trade with or without my. I really think that you came on the show and just wanted to bounce it off somebody's head. I fully believe that you had made the trade for Justin Jefferson with or without my approval. I'm going to take credit for it. And I can't wait to go into work, which I have to do in a few hours, unfortunately. I can't wait to go in and say, hey, I helped somebody get Amon-Ra, CD Lamb, and Justin Jefferson all on the same team. And then you got Jonathan Brooks might be a superstar in the making. Bucky Irving, I don't know, but please make that trade before the end of the show if you don't mind, if you have the ability to do that. Yeah, I saw Von Miller get suspended. I said this. I've been saying this for a while. Like I remember when they signed Von. By the way, I love Von Miller. He wore 58 to honor Derek Thomas, one of the greatest Chiefs of all time. If you don't know, Derek Thomas was killed in an automobile accident. You know, did a lot of stuff for the community, charitable contributions. Fun player to watch. I always felt this is true. I'm just going to be straight. I always thought Von Miller played to run a lot better than Derek Thomas. Derek Thomas didn't do anything except rush the passer. All right. Wasn't really interested in stuff in the run. Didn't do anything else. Von Miller, much more complete player. Derek Thomas would go for months without doing anything, but when he was on, I've never seen a better pass rusher in the history of the NFL. Like when he was on, I was at Arrowhead the day that he had 7 sacks, NFL record. By the way, he missed 8. He whiffed on 8, which ended up being a touchdown, which won the game for Seattle 17-16. And Derek Thomas was like, man, I should have got that last one. He really should have got that last one. But he had a game, the first game of 1998 against the Raiders, 30-0 shutout. And so his father was a Vietnam vet who died. He was a B-2 bomber. So with the Chiefs, so now they do the planes every day. But it wasn't that way in the 90s. But when they would do the planes would go overhead, everybody knew that Derek Thomas would get emotional and he would always have a good game. He had 6 sacks in that 1998 season opener. He could have had 10. They pulled him after the third quarter. He had 6. He probably could have had 10. I mean, it was just. Anyway, Von Miller was a much more complete player. But he had all that explosiveness. Von Miller, in my opinion, first ballot Hall of Famer. Okay. I had to get that out of the way because when the Bills signed him to that contract, I said it was a massive mistake. It was something ridiculous. It was like a 5 or 6 year deal for $120 million. He's not the same guy. I thought the Rams they overpaid for Von Miller for a half a season. But they won a Super Bowl. Of course, the next year they won, 4 or 5 games. You have to determine if that's good or bad. But I knew when the Bills signed him, it was not going to be a good deal. You can't trade him. He didn't get a sack last year, and now he's suspended. If things fall apart in Buffalo, I would point towards the bad move with Von Miller, because they were drafting a bunch of guys in the draft. They have, oh God, I can't believe I forgot the guy's name. Greg Rousseau. That's what it was. I didn't forget. I didn't have to look at it. They got this guy, Greg Rousseau, who's just got this unlimited ceiling, a former wide receiver who grew into a 6'7", 290-pound defensive end. And I think I just spit out and everything. I don't care. All the upside in the world, they should just leave him out there. They kept on drafting. They had AJ Klein. They actually traded Boogie Basham for like a bag of chips. He was a second-round pick. They have all these young defensive players, and they bring in Von Miller. And if things don't work out in Buffalo after a 3-0 start, after having the most explosive offense for the first couple of weeks of the season, I would look towards Von Miller. This was a bad signing. This was a mistake. This was a panic move by an organization. It's a shame. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer. Also, it's also a move that I think that will really hamstring the Bills. Because, I mean, that contract, I think they have to pay him over $20 million for the next couple of years, regardless whether he plays or not. Also, with Amari and Adams looking for new homes, what do you expect to happen? Okay. Adams, I've been predicting will get moved. I mean, the Raiders need to draft capital. They can hype up Gardner Minshew all they want. They can. There are some guys like, oh, it's the second coming of the snake. No, no. The Raiders were trying to trade up to number 2 because they wanted Jaden Daniels, and I think that with the organization adamant that they were targeting the right guy, but they weren't able to get him. I firmly believe that what's going to happen is that they're going to trade. As far as where, I honestly, the best spot would be Kansas City. They're not going to trade with Kansas City. Dallas would be interesting. Dallas would be a lot of fun, to tell you the truth. I honestly think Amari Cooper going back to Dallas makes the most sense. I think it makes the sense for both teams. I think Amari Cooper. Keep in mind, Amari Cooper. The only reason he had to leave Dallas in the first place was because CeeDee Lamb blew up, and it was a cap issue. But he fit with Dallas like a hand in a glove. And I kind of think that's where he's going to go back. Adams, I think the Raiders have to move on from him because they need draft capital in the worst possible way. They got to get their quarterback. Minshew's not it. They can win games 20-16 all they want, but are they going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs doing that? No. They know that. So Adams, you got to go to the highest bidder. Who's willing to give the most for Adams, and I really don't have an answer. I mean, if they were willing to make a move with the Chiefs, that would make a lot of sense for both teams. It really would. I've heard talk about him going to the Jets. I don't see it personally, but after the Jets put up 9 points, it's possible. Could the Jets give somebody back in return that the Raiders would want? That's also a possibility. I think in a perfect world, they'd like to ship him to an NFC team. But it's gonna come down to it. I really wish I knew the draft, like which teams had extra draft capital and which teams didn't, because that would be kind of where I would look at. But Amari Cooper, I think will end up back in Dallas. And if I'm Dallas, I would try really hard to get either one of these guys, but it's cheaper and easier. And one thing about Amari Cooper, I think after being in Cleveland, nothing against Cleveland. But full disclosure, I've never been to Cleveland. I've been to Dallas, the Dallas Fort Worth area several times. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's a great place to be. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. Teams with some extra draft capital would be interested. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I would try. I would be. I'm saying it's going to be Chiefs fan, but if I'm the Raiders, I would hit up Kansas City. I really would, because Kansas City is a team that would probably give me a good option for a player that's not going to be there. And if you're the Raiders, you're really thinking for 2025. You know you're not good enough to compete this year. You know this. Get the guy for 24 and 25. I would call up Kansas City. I mean, yeah. And by the way, if the Chiefs three-peat, you got to take some credit for that. But I don't expect it to happen. The Raiders do need draft capital in the worst possible way. What about Washington? It won't happen. I want to play around with my Lions fans, but no. But yeah, both those teams will be gone soon. I fully expect Amari Cooper to go back to Dallas, and Adams could go to a handful of different teams. Now that I said it, it kind of makes sense to Washington Commanders, But Kansas City, if I'm the Raiders, I would make a phone call to Kansas City and I would ask for a 2. Because out of all the teams in the NFL, I think Kansas City might be most likely to make to give up significant draft capital, and the Raiders need significant draft capital because winning really kind of hurts them because they really need a quarterback in the worst way. That's a great team, man. George Play 01. What's up, brother, man? Sorry for my rant here. But should I trade Zay Flowers for Amari Cooper? Standard League. I heard Amari trade rumors. Yeah, so Amari Cooper is going to be gone sooner than later. Jerry Jeudy's getting the majority of the touches. I love Jerry Jeudy coming out of college. I actually had in that draft, I had Jerry Jeudy 1A, CD Lamb 1B. The Raiders ended up taking the other Alabama receiver instead. He's in jail, probably in jail for life. I can't think of the kid's name. But I had Jerry Jeudy rated above CD Lamb. I admit it. I did. I thought he was. And Jerry Jeudy, they traded for in Cleveland, and he's been getting an uptick. Keep in mind when Cleveland fixed their offensive line and Chubb comes back, Amari Cooper's production will go up. Now, the one thing I will say, standard league, so it's not a PPR, you might be in better shape keeping Flowers. And the reason why I say that is that Derrick Henry's not running 25 times for 175 yards every single week. I mean, they're going to have to throw the ball. And Zay Flowers is a legitimate number 1 receiver in Baltimore. Are they using him that way? No, but they're going to keep getting him more involved. As much as I like Amari Cooper, I would not recommend this trade. I would not recommend this trade. Amari Cooper goes back to Dallas. That's where he should be. Will there be an uptick in production? Yes. There'll be an uptick in production. By the way, Amari Cooper is one of those guys, I've been saying this a couple times. Like this is a buy low guy who's going to be more productive in the next couple weeks, whether it's with the Browns, whether it's with another team. So I would strongly suggest. That said, I would strongly suggest keeping Zay Flowers. I think he has more value. I really do. And if you're in a standard league, you're not in a PPR league, Flowers definitely has more value. Cooper's more of a guy that's like that 7 catch, 70-yard performance type of guy, where Zay Flowers is much more likely to have that 4 catch, 100-yard type of performance. So if you're in a standard league, it's not a PPR league. Stick with Flowers would be my recommendation. Listen, the guy, it's only his second year in the league. Derrick Henry's production is going to go down. Let me ask you this here. Let me ask you this. Just, this is terrible to say, but Derrick Henry goes down. How valuable would Flowers be? If you're getting 25 carries a game and you're 30, just throwing that out there. So don't. I would not recommend it. But Amari Cooper, I'm going to tell you right now, Amari Cooper's production is going to go up. I would not recommend this. What did you drop Javonte Williams for Kareem Hunt? That's a great. That's a good one. I love Javonte Williams so much, and it drives me nuts that he's not productive, because I really thought that he would be kind of a Alvin Kamara type player in Denver. That Javonte Williams is not really built like that. Javonte Williams is a former linebacker turned running back. He's 230 pounds, powerful. Loved him coming out north. Really, really loved this dude. I would recommend this, and the reason why is that if you watch the Chiefs games, if you watch the Chiefs games, Kareem Hunt was the main guy. Kareem Hunt has a lot of receiving ability, which I don't understand why it wasn't utilized outside of Kansas City, but he was an excellent receiver when he was with Kansas City, and I think will be an excellent receiver. I would recommend it. I really would, even though I have such a man crush on Javonte Williams. I really thought that this could have been like a diamond in the rough. And then you have a young quarterback, so what do you want to do? Well, I'd recommend running the ball with the 230-pound running back with breakaway speed, but it hasn't worked out that way. So, yeah, I would recommend it, especially if Kareem Hunt's on the waiver wire. Yeah, pick him up. Saw the Bills freed $1.5 million of cap space with Von Miller, Murray. It's kind of weird because I didn't see. I didn't know the Bills could free up cap space with the suspension. I actually didn't know that. I did see where Amari Cooper. What they did with the restructuring of the contract is that if you trade Amari Cooper, you can get him for really, really cheap. Amari Cooper would make a lot of sense in Buffalo. So would Davante Adams. I'm sorry. I got Javonte on the mind. Either one of those receivers would make a lot of sense in Buffalo. I personally, if I'm Amari Cooper or Adams, but keep in mind with all the money Dallas is spending, they need to get somebody cheap. So if I'm Amari Cooper, I would 100% go back to Dallas, because he was happy there. He was wildly productive there. The offense fits what he's doing, and it was only a cap issue. Like I don't think he really wanted to go to Cleveland. I think it was like, hey, look, I got to go, and by the way, if I'm Dallas, I would 100% do everything I could to get Amari Cooper back in Dallas. I just think that makes a lot of sense. The Bills, I think the Bills would be interested in both of these guys, though. I really do. The Bills could also just try and becoming younger. I will say this: Buffalo plays Houston this week. All right. If Houston wins and Buffalo goes 3-2, then I fully expect Buffalo to try to make a move, kind of a panic situation. But yeah. Archain, Mason, and GSN for Kenneth Walker. Okay, I'm sorry. I meant A-Chain or Madison and Addison for Kenneth Walker. I forgot you have Addison on your team. Well, first of all, make the trade and get Justin Jefferson. If that it was, I'm assuming that was a trade that is already like that. That's a trade that was on the table. I'm assuming somebody offered you that. If it's just a spitball, then I don't think, if that's something you were hoping that you could work out, then no. But I was under the impression somebody offered you Justin Jefferson for those guys. If that's not the case, then make some other moves. But if that Justin Jefferson trade's on the table and you just got to hit accept and hit accept, and then after that, okay, yeah, make that trade. Make that trade first. Make that trade first, and then whatever you got left over. Kenneth Walker is an excellent option, but the one thing about Kenneth Walker is that he's not been able to stay healthy. That's kind of the issue I have. Also, for the next couple of weeks, you will need a guy like Addison, because we just talked about it. If you make this trade, Amon-Ra week 5, Justin Jefferson, I think, was 6, and then CeeDee Lamb was week 7 bye. So Addison will start the next couple of weeks, probably. So make that trade first, and then let's figure out what we can do with Kenneth Walker. The one thing about Kenneth Walker, wildly productive, really injury prone, which kind of scares me. You're a 10-man PPR, so you may have some waiver wire options. We talked about Kareem Hunt, Jalen Wright. After you get those 3 receivers, I honestly, after making all those trades, after you get those 3 receivers, I may just stand pat and not do a damn thing. And, just, hey, look, I got Stroud. I got 3 of the best receivers in fantasy football, in the National Football League, period. I would just stay pat, I'm here's the deal. I like Kenneth Walker's game. I have an issue with injury. I was paying attention. So I was paying attention to Njoku because I was looking at Cleveland's injuries. It doesn't look like he's going to play this week. I think that he's returning to practice. I was literally just looking at this. I'm going to go to ESPN again, not the best source, but it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. I'm sorry to say that. Hold on here. What does it say? Chubb is eligible to practice tomorrow, and Njoku they're calling questionable. Okay, so if you go to ESPN, they're calling him questionable, and I forget where it was that I saw it, but I don't think it was ESPN. I forget where it was that I saw it, but it doesn't look good for Njoku. I would not bank on Njoku coming back, and I love this guy. I'm a big Njoku fan. Very raw guy coming out of Miami, a former ACC high jump champion. And I remember when he came into the league, had a lot of drops or some maturity issues. He's only a redshirt sophomore, really amped it up the last couple of years. I love Njoku, one of my favorite players. I wouldn't bank on him playing this week at all. But he's listed as questionable per ESPN. I think I saw somewhere else where Dave, I'm keeping in touch here. I don't remember where it was. I want to say it's somewhere on Twitter or X. If you follow, do me a favor. If you're on social media, follow me on social media because I am following something. I swear I saw something just on Njoku being unlikely. So, George, I've seen the last two games of the Ravens. Is that Lamar throws to Bateman likely and Nelson Aguilar more? This week, Amari almost had a 70-yard touchdown. Wasn't for a hold. Yeah, I understand that. I know Bateman's a first-round pick. I love that out of Minnesota. Nelson Aguilar was an interesting player coming out of USC because, he arrived at college as a running back, and there's a lot of upside there, and I understand, but Zay Flowers is the number one dude, and they really, really, really like this kid. I get it. I get it. And by the way, if let's say you make this move, Amari Cooper's production is just going to go up. I mean, I want to be very clear. Flowers is the guy that they really want to get the ball to more in Baltimore. I really think that what it is that they're going against teams that are just putting their number one on them. I know in Kansas City, that's what Kansas City did. Kansas City is like McDuffie, you cover Flowers. And against Buffalo, it was a blowout, so it wasn't really a need to use them that much. This week against Cincinnati, I do think could be a good Zay Flowers game. I still wouldn't make that move personally, but if you did, I'd understand because the one thing about the Browns is that getting players back, the more players the Browns get back, and it's not like these guys are out for the year. I mean, these guys are coming back in the next week or two. If Cooper stays in Cleveland, his production is going to go up. Now, if he goes to Dallas, there'll be a week, maybe two. That would be an adjustment. You know what? I say that, but I remember his first game in Dallas. I think he went for 100 and some yards and 2 touchdowns. That said, they didn't have that CD Lamb guy there. So, and I do think, if I was Dallas and I was Cooper, and I mean, I don't know, maybe Amari Cooper, for whatever reason, doesn't like Dallas. I'm just speculating, and I'll tell you why I'm speculating that he likes Dallas. He played at Alabama. I remember he started as a freshman. He was the 4th overall pick for the Raiders. His career looked like it was going really well, and he had kind of a falling out with Gruden. Gruden rubbed some people the wrong way. Got traded for a lot of draft capital to Dallas, and that was when he was most productive, when he was with the Cowboy, and everything was really good. The only thing is, though, when Dallas picked 17th in the draft, CD Lamb was there. Dallas didn't. They had a number one receiver with Amari Cooper, but it was just one of those crazy things where a player fell in the draft that had no business falling, so they had to take him. They're like, yeah, we're going to take you, but we know that by doing this, if you're the player that we see at Oklahoma, if you become that guy with the Cowboys, which he did, remember they gave him the 88 jersey, but they knew that, hey, we do this, the guy we gave up a lot of draft capital to the Raiders for, we're going to have to get rid of for nothing. I get your logic. But I mean, and another thing you got to think about is that, I mean, I have to look it up, but I just broke down Amari Cooper and John Gruden. John Gruden's, been out of the league for a while. You get what I'm saying? Like, a 23-year-old who's ascending with talent versus a guy that, is being, I mean, so far this year, Jerry Jeudy, who same, weird situation, what was it? They gave the Broncos a fifth, they get a sixth in return, and Jerry Jeudy, he's been the number one receiver, a lot of talent, but I'm gonna stand by it. I mean, I like the young ascending player who's still the number one option in Baltimore versus the guy who's production older. But I'm a huge Amari Cooper fan. Loved him at Alabama. As a Chiefs fan, I remember he had some really good games against my Chiefs. So, but I mean, Cooper's a guy whose production is going to go up. I think Zay Flowers' production is going to go up, and he's younger, more explosive. Does Lamar want to throw the ball, that much? No. Obviously, the decision's on you, but I wouldn't recommend it. Dan, is Jalen Hurts still that guy? I think he is. The one thing is that I remember. Great question, GB. So, I remember when they brought in Vic Fangio, I was like hand in a glove. Like he'll turn the defense around. It may not be overnight, and I like what I'm seeing out of Philly's defense so far. I mean, it's improving. Still some holes. Obviously, they lost, or they're 2-2. But if I'm Philly, I'm thinking to myself, we're tied with Dallas. That's a good thing. I'm as crazy as this sounds. If I'm Philly, I'm not that scared of Washington. I'm really not. Okay. Kellen Moore's a pass happy coach, and Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that operates best when he's running. But it's Jalen Hurts. Yeah, look, they gave up a lot of draft capital and a lot of money for A.J. Brown. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. Then Devontae Smith gets knocked out. But you have Goddard. Jahan Dotson is a guy that I didn't like in the first round, but I do like as a player, and I think he's in a really great situation. So the answer is yes. I kind of don't want to rant too much longer because I have a bad habit of doing it. But is Jalen Hurts still that guy? I think he is. I know the offense is a little weird, but keep in mind once everybody gets healthy, Jalen Hurts could still be spectacular. I mean, look, you got Barkley, you have a good offensive line, your best receiver is coming back. If you want to tell me A.J. Brown's a better player than Saquon Barkley, I can't definitely tell you no. Wait till he comes back and see what happens. But yeah. At the end of the day, if the guy backs out, my lineup is Stroud. Yeah. I mean, listen, your team is solid, man. If the guy does back out, your lineup is still really, really, really good. I mean, this is very solid across the board. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra, but if you can add Justin Jefferson, you make that move. What's up, Denver Gator? What's up, nerds? I figured it's week 5. I think I figured out the whole NFL. I don't foresee any more major upsets or chaos. Should be easy sailing from here on out. By the way, Denver Gator, I agree. Your Chiefs should not have any more games that make me want to pull my hair out because that's frustrating. 10-9, 50 yards passing. Oh, God. Yeah. Denver Gator, I don't know if you saw this or not. This guy has a chance to trade. Somebody offered him Justin Jefferson. So this guy here has a chance to get CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Justin Jefferson on the same fantasy team. He got offered Justin Jefferson, so I'm excited about it. Noah, please stay in touch with me, man. I do let me know if you can't get that, because the show's going to end here in 15 minutes. If you follow me on social media, or if you want to, you can go old school. You can email me, dantalksfootball@yahoo.com. Or tomorrow's going to be Fantasy Football Wednesday. Just join the show tomorrow. But please stay in touch with me and let me and everybody else in the chat know if you can get Justin Jefferson, because I'm dying to know that CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Justin Jefferson on the same team. I can't see it, Denver Gator. I cannot see it. It's just a blur. But the new icon, it's a gator with dynamite on his back playing a banjo. That is awesome. That is awesome. To me, it's literally like a green and brown and red blur. I can't make it out. I just wanted to jump in real quick for the algorithm, like and sub. I pity the fool who don't. Man, thanks, brother. Nah, I appreciate the love, man. I appreciate the love. Denver Gator, if you haven't had a chance yet, do check out my NFL weekly picks video. I got some upsets this week. I know what you think, that, I got some chaos. Please watch my video. Let me know. I got some crazy ones. Rhinos Roundtable. Man, damn, I'm really late. My day just blew by me. Hey, chat. Hey, Dan. Rhinos Roundtable. I want to know, who do you want to start Sunday? Flacco or Anthony Richardson? By the way, if you haven't had a chance, check out my weekly picks video, because I talk about that briefly. Do watch the whole video, but I put chapters in there so you can just skip to Jags and Colts. But I want to know what your opinion is on that, and let me know. Do you expect DJ Chark to be a fit when he is fit to be a regular? Lots of people. So the thing is with DJ Chark is that whenever I'm sorry, Denver Gator just rattled me. When he's healthy, he's always productive. He's almost never healthy. I like the fit, because the one thing about DJ Chark is that he's a guy, he does have hands, and he's a deep threat. And what do you want to do when you have a power running team? Well, you want to have a deep threat. And that's what I kind of like out of DJ Chark, is that he's a deep threat. Dude's never healthy. The dude is never healthy. I always loved this kid. Denver Gator is a huge LSU fan. So I remember DJ Chark playing at LSU, and I was a big fan of him in college. Big fan of him, but can't stay healthy. I'm not really sure what they're going to do in the receiving room for the Chiefs Chargers play-by-play. I got kind of made fun of, because I kept on saying Ladd McConkey's not really that guy. He had a really good game. He was really, really impressive. I have to give some credit. I have to eat a little bit of crow, because he looked like the best receiver on the team, even though I kept on saying Quentin Johnston was. Joshua Palmer is a good player. I like Joshua Palmer. I thought all he needed was time, but I'm giving you an answer of I don't know. But if I was the Chargers, I would like to get them involved a little more, because if I have a power running game, I want a deep threat. And that's what you get with DJ Chark. And he gives you an additional dimension that As much as I like Quentin Johnson's not slow. Lad McConkey's not slow. Joshua Palmer's not slow. But DJ Chark is, I think, coming out of LSU, he's like a 4.27 dude. 4.27, 4.29. I mean, this is one of those like home run dudes. And so yeah. And by the way, here's the neat thing is that when you say regular, is this a dude who's going to go for 1,000 yards? Absolutely not. Is this a guy that, this is one of those guys that he'll have a 5-catch, 120-yard, 1 touchdown performance. He'll have like that 70-yard touchdown, and then the next week he'll have 2 catches, 19 yards. I mean, that's the player that you're getting. At most, he's going to have 500 or 600 yards because even when he comes back, he's probably going to get hurt again. It's just how he is. Him being on the field just gives everybody else more room to operate. Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer are all guys. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he's going to help in that way. Is he going to be somebody that's going to get a lot of catches? No. Is he a home run threat who's going to help the offense? I do. But, I mean, I'm telling you right now, he's going to get hurt again. As a Chiefs fan, I am so. Matter of fact, I was reading in the NFL Network. They're talking about players Kansas City could pick up, and the one name that stood out was Keenan Allen, who I loved. I would. By the way, I would be doing cartwheels if the Chiefs can figure a way to get Keenan Allen. But Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, I'm so glad to see both those guys out of the Chargers. So, I mean, he gets those picks, sell the whole trailer. Oh God, yeah. I've been waiting for I seriously it was at first I thought he was getting rid of Justin Jefferson. I'm like, do you really need 2 other guys that are number 2s? And he's like, no, I'm getting Justin Jefferson. I have CD Lamb and Amon Ra. Like me and several people in the chat were like, yeah, exactly. This I can't even express to you the joy I have of trying to get people to win their league. And by the way, I 100% fully believe that the guy makes that trade without coming on here, but I'm going to take credit for it. And I hope it comes through, and I hope I hear from the guy because like he's going to win his fantasy football league, and it's just fun. It's just fun. I can't tell you how much fun I am having because me and you were talking about this show for a couple months, and I wasn't sure of how it was going to work or what I should do, and changing on the fly and doing more fantasy stuff and helping guys win their fantasy football matchups in leagues is just a lot of fun. I'm giddy, so. I had no idea the Colts. I'm gonna tell you what you should be salivating over is Joe Flacco. I would strongly suggest Joe Flacco starting immediately and just doing the same thing that they did in Carolina. I think your team becomes instantly better if you start Flacco. And then what I would do is not only would I start Flacco, I wouldn't bench Richardson. I would just include him in packages. Your third and short, your 2-point conversion play. A second and short where you could have Richardson throw the ball downfield or you could have him run. I'm curious if you feel the same way though, because I lost money on betting on Pittsburgh, and I really felt like if Flacco doesn't come in that game, Steelers win. That's what I think. But you tell me. Yeah, I do too. And it's here's the thing: Joshua Palmer's a guy I think could be a solid 2-3 or well as well. I mean, you got some really good offensive weapons there. Now you got this running back in J.K. Dobbins who has otherworldly potential. Joe Alt, who looks awesome. This sucks he got hurt against Kansas City of all teams. Defense playing better. So, yeah, I mean, there's some good. If you're a Chargers fan, you lost to Kansas City. So what? What else is new? But if I'm the Chargers, I'm kind of excited. I mean, you're on a bye week, perfect time. You get Joe Alt healthy, Derwin James comes back. If you want to complain about the suspension, I don't have an issue with it. But and then you know what? You come back after the bye, you play Denver. Denver plays the Raiders. I'm pretty excited about that because I'm the Chargers. I'm looking at. I mean, I feel really good about winning this game against Denver. Okay, let's look at the schedule fast. At Denver, Monday night against Arizona. All right, so 2 road games. I'm looking at 2 wins. I'm looking at being 4-2. Then I get the Saints at home at Cleveland. That could be a tough one. But then I get 3 straight home games: Tennessee, Cincinnati, Baltimore. Tough opponents, but Tennessee's very winnable. I mean, I could go down, but you kind of, I think you see what I'm getting at. You got a chance at Denver, at Arizona, Saints at home. You got a really good chance to win all 3 of those. Probably 2-1. You're 4-3. You should be in really good shape. Yeah, if I'm a Chargers fan, I'm not mad at all. I can see that. I can see that. Actually, what did you think of Tyler Huntley's game yesterday? Looks all right, but I don't think he's the answer. If I'm Miami, I would stick with Huntley. Remember, he spent all the preseason in Cleveland. I can tell you there's some similarities between Cleveland and Miami's offense. Not a lot. So I would stick with Huntley because I saw some things I liked. It's just that the one thing about that offense, it's a very quick passing offense, which means it's a rhythm offense. You could see he like underthrew Tyreek Hill on one play, he overthrew him on another. This is just practice. This is just repetition. That's the problem with bringing a guy in and having a quarterback that you can't count on to stay healthy, is because this offense is it's the very quick throwing offense. It's something I remember last year. It was like Tua got rid of the ball. It's like 2.1 seconds. You can't bring in a guy off the street and do that. But can he do it maybe in a few weeks from now? Maybe. Yeah, if you watch my AFC East video, I did release that. I was adamant. I didn't think that he was this genius everybody thought he was. You also have a brand new defensive coordinator. I mean, Vic Fangio wanted to leave for personal reasons to be closer to his family. Okay. Maybe. Brand new defensive coordinator. I've never been sold on him, so I'm okay with Flacco for some wins. I always thought Flacco had a personality head of a cat. Yeah, I would do this immediately if I was the Colts. You got Jalen Ramsey. You got rid of Xavier Howard. I'll be honest, instead of drafting Chop Robinson, if you're planning on playing man defense, Nate Wiggins, who's playing pretty well in Baltimore, that's the guy that I would have gone after. I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Are you talking about Miami or the Chargers? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Miami because you were talking about Miami. But, to tell you the truth, the Chargers, they got, what's his name? Asante Samuel Jr. I think he's really good, by the way. I think he's really, really, really good. The rest of your corners are okay. But Asante Samuel, Kristen Fulton was the dude I loved coming out of LSU. It just hasn't played that way. No, he's Chargers. Yeah. So I thought you were talking about Miami, but you're talking about the Chargers. Kristen Fulton, I loved at LSU. It just really hasn't panned out. I don't like doing this, but he might be a guy that's better suited to play safety. I not overly. Asante Samuel Jr. is really good. Really, really good. Your nickelback who is out, Jasir Taylor. I honestly don't know too much about him. But I will say this. Asante Samuel Jr. is pretty solid. Kristen Fulton's not. I know he had an interception against the Chiefs, but I actually had a good game against Kansas City. I'm not gonna lie, because he had that interception, and he was everywhere. But it was kind of funny because I forgot he signed. He's a guy I think that might be better suited to play safety down the line, but he played okay. Asante Samuel Jr. solid. Okay. Guys, listen, I got to end the show. Social media is below. My NFL Week 5 picks video is out. Please check it out. It's awesome. Wednesday is Fantasy Football Wednesday. If you have a question, a comment, something you want me to start the show off with, drop a comment below. I hope to see everybody back for Fantasy Football Wednesday. It's going to be great. Have a great day. I hope to see everybody back tomorrow.